Did we do it? Did we get the thumbs up? Hold on here.
This meeting is now streaming live.
Oh, fabulous. Let's go to our Facebook page and is live online. Woo, we did it. That was rather painful. Technology, right? Hi, everybody. This is Heather Morrison with Bold Breakthroughs. And this week, my guest is Miss Stephanie Arnheim. Thanks for being patient. We were working out the technology. One of our favorite things to do. So I am just looking for your little bio. I know it's in here somewhere. In the meantime, we wanted to bring you up to speed. Miss Stephanie usually is living in the Northwest in Portland, outside of Portland, right? And right now she's in Palm Springs. So tell us what's going on. You decided to escape the ice and snow and.
Yes, we had the opportunity for a lovely cat sitter who was stuck in Portland, and we decided to go visit family in the Palm Springs area, and we're able to find a place for January. We liked it so much we're staying for February, and missing the ice storm going on in Portland right now, where my house is without electricity.
Yeah. You're not missing much. Let me tell you, you're not missing much. So unfortunately, I can't find your bio this morning. So I'm just going to use you. If you could just give us a brief introduction of what you do and who you do it for, we would, and I'm sure you've done it a couple of times based on what you do for a living. That would be fabulous.
I'm Stephanie Arnheim, Portland's networking expert with Stephanie Connects. I help people and business owners and solopreneurs with their networking, whether it's online or in person, which we used to do.
Well, and I love that you've been able to pivot, right? That's the big buzzword right now is pivot, and figure out how that's going to work for you. And you have been a busy lady, so obviously people are needing your services to figure out how to make this working from home thing work for them, right?
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
I love. All right, good. Well, let's just get started here. So you said in your introduction, you're with Stephanie Connect. So can you take us on a little journey of how that company came to be? Kind of what was your inspiration in developing that company?
Sure. I've been networking and connecting with people my whole life. And way back when I first was elementary school teacher, way back when. And I've been a real estate investor. I've helped my husband flip houses. I've been in high tech and in direct sales too. And in about 2009, I joined a BNI chapter, Business Networking International. I'd been a fan of it. I knew of it before, and I was in a direct sales business at the time. And I knew Ivan Meisner. I'd read some of his books. He's a master networker. And he had founded BNI. So I joined a chapter and became their mentor coordinator. And at that time, and I was the mentor coordinator for 4 years, actually, guiding and helping people with their networking, connecting, business strategies, those kind of things, which is what I do with Stephanie Connects. I help empower people and learn how to make networking effective with communication skills as well as networking skills. So I joined the BNI chapter, and every time I'd be mentoring new people, they'd say, "You're really good at this." And I found I like to do that better than I like the direct sales. So in 2013, I created Stephanie Connects. So that's how it all evolved. It's always evolved, but I've always been connecting people my whole life.
I love that. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that Stephanie is the wing woman, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on about what that means, but she is the person that you want by your side when you go to a networking event. So I'm so glad you're here with us today. So what are some challenges along the way on that little journey, going from, working for someone else and then, working for network start the sales, and what were some of the challenges that you experienced along the way, and how did you overcome those?
Well, being entrepreneurial can be quite challenging for many people, and especially for introverts. I'm an introvert, and for me, the idea of marketing or sales per se, going for the sale, just petrified me. So I had I joined a lot of different networking groups, and I'd heard Ronnie Noyes from DIY Marketing Center do a presentation. way back, and this was in another business I'd heard. So I reconnected with her just by chance, and she helped me create a lot of the nuts and bolts to running a successful business. That was really the key because I was very challenged by the sales part and the marketing part. So that was one of the biggest shifts I ever did. And that really made the biggest difference, is hiring a good coach.
And I'm really glad that you touched on that point, because I think as entrepreneurs, we have a tendency, because a lot of us have come from corporate or an environment where we were not our own boss. We had someone else that was our boss. And there were a lot of systems and structures in place, an HR department, a tech department, a marketing department, right? And so we rely on those people. And so when we go into entrepreneurship, we think, I can do this by myself. I've seen other people do it. I could do this by myself. And we suffer silently by ourselves. And you hit the nail on the head. That is one of the biggest things that we can do as we're growing our business, either in the beginning or as we're scaling up. Mm-hmm. Is to reach out to people that have done it before you or that have gone through it before you. So I'm so glad you touched on that, because I think that's one of the key things that entrepreneurs, one of the reasons entrepreneurs give up is because they're like, oh, this is so frustrating. It doesn't have to be frustrating. You just need to reach out to other people who've been there before you. So that's a really, really important point.
Yeah, we do not have to do it alone. And that's one of the things. And suffer in silence, ask my poor husband and even my son, about my challenges. Like you had some tech challenges. My husband's my tech guy. I like anything tech. I'm like, please help me. I do laundry. He does tech. It's a great deal.
Exactly. You stay in your own zone of genius, right? So
yeah. And I've taught him networking tips. I've taught my whole family networking tips. So it works, but you need to stick to your expertise.
Yeah, definitely stay in your zone of genius, right? Because I think, again, as being an entrepreneur, we want to be everything to everybody. And you can't do that as an entrepreneur, nor should you do that as an entrepreneur, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's your passion project right now? What are you working on in your business that's just got you jazzed up?
Well, a couple of things. One is helping people with their online networking, overcoming, how to network effectively online. Because I don't know how long we're going to be in this Zoom COVID existence. I'm glad that medical technology is moving as fast as it can. But I do think in terms of networking, we're going to be online. And I think it's changed all of networking. I mean, I don't think everyone's going to be going back to businesses anymore.
Right.
That's where one big change. So that's one thing I'm working on, as well as one of my passion projects is creating power partners, where people build power partnerships together. Because I really feel that is a really key way to build your business, is to create those power partners. And that's one of the things you can do online. So both of those things go hand in hand.
I love that. And so by power partners, you mean, are you creating little circles that are people that are not necessarily in your industry, but are adjacent to your industry? Is that kind of what a power partner is?
Right. A power partner is someone who has a complementary business and where you may serve the same type of client. So for example, a realtor, a power partner might be a photographer, interior designer, escrow officer, insurance agent, all of those type of people. If it's in the wellness area, a naturopath might have a massage therapist, a chiropractor, a nutritionist. So those are complementary ones. They serve the same client base. So those are who you want to connect with, and from that you can create a relationship where you can do joint events. You can offer special, like, introductory things. If someone signs up for your program, Heather, they'll get a networking strategy session with me, something like that. You have reciprocal introductory packages. There's all kinds of things you can do, and that can be done in person or online. That's what's great about it.
Well, and I love that idea. That's genius, because as someone who's gone to a billion networking meetings, right? You typically, it's difficult if I'm out and about and I'm talking to my audience.
Mhm.
It's difficult for me sometimes to recommend someone that's not in my sphere. So, for example, if I'm a real estate agent and I'm out talking to someone and not showing them a house or what have you, it's difficult for me to bring up a conversation, say around essential oils, right?
Yes.
But it's
Right.
easy because they're going through that process of buying or selling a home. It's easy for me to bring up the situation of, do you have a mortgage broker? Do you have an inspector? Do you have a lender? Do you have a photographer who can photograph? Those kinds of things. So I love this idea. I think this is the future of networking, actually.
I do. And that's why Stephanie Connects came about, because I go to a networking event and I'm like always scanning the room. When I meet you, I'm like, oh, and I'll ask you, one of the key questions is, describe your ideal client to me, or who are you looking to connect with? That's like one of my favorite questions of all time. And so when you ask that question and they answer it, then I am tracking the room, because I do, or online, I'm tracking my mental Rolodex, and I'm saying, who do I know that I can connect with? Now online, I would say do an email introduction afterwards. And in person, I have physically taken a person at a networking event and brought them to someone and said, you two need to meet. And then I go away, and then it's fun. It's very fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd love to know more about what that looks like to actually work with you. Like what does the experience of working with Stephanie Connects actually look like? What do you provide for your clients?
Well, there's different offerings depending on where they're at in their business and what they need help with. I have, like you had mentioned earlier, a wing woman program. When we were in person, I would go with a person to a networking event. We do prep beforehand. I pick the networking event carefully by who I think, who is your ideal client. And then I know different types of networking groups, because it could be anywhere from a chamber to, as I mentioned, a BNI, to, we've been to Danielle Louise Ross, like a conference and intuitive speaking or something. You need to pick carefully where you're going. And then I'll be your wing woman. I'll stay by your side and introduce you to people, get you away from the people that want to like suck you in, or people that are not good fits, and work the room. How to work the room. It's especially for introverts or people new to their business. That's where they get stuck. So that's one of the ways. And other ways are online, do networking coaching if they need a networking strategy plan, how to look at what their niche is, what kind of, how to work a conference or how to read a room. I work with people one-on-one that way as well.
Well, and I love the fact that you bring up the strategy, because I don't think that a lot of people think that networking, there's a strategy behind networking, and there absolutely is. If you are going to be spending time in an hour, or however long the format is, networking, that's valuable time, especially in the days where we had to drive to a networking event and drive home, right? There was that commute time as well. If you're going to be spending time there, don't spend time with people that you already know, right? Because that's your comfort zone, right? Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I see a familiar face. And then B, connect, who knows who the right people in the room are for you. So having you by their side to say, all these people, out of all of these 80 people here, I know exactly who you need to speak with. So I love the fact that you brought up the strategy, that there is really truly a strategy behind networking, because if you're going to be there, you might as well make the most of your time, right?
Definitely. And what I will say, because I do know a lot of people, so I will see people that I know. So what I do is, if I have someone with me, or whether I'm by myself, if I'm by myself, I'll go, Heather, it's great to see you. I don't ignore you, but I'll go up to Heather. It's great. It's great to see you. Who are you looking to meet tonight? And then because that creates a value, and then you're thinking, wow, she takes the time to think about me, because I do care about the people I know, and I don't want them to think I'm ignoring them, but it also will stick in my brain. And you may say, well, I'm looking for, ABC, or a person who does this or that. And then when I'm working the room, then I can get an idea. Now, if I meet that one, I'll connect them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a value add.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's your big, bold 5-year vision for your company?
Well, it's there's a couple different things. I mean, I really want to build out the power panel. I was beta testing it this last year. I was beta testing it, and that could go farther, as well as just encouraging. I want to see what happens with networking. So the 5-year plan, I used to know better. Now I'm interested to see, where are we going to get back together, and what does that look like? And from there, I can create a vision. So it's kind of on it was more clear, and now I'm kind of in a wait and see to see what happens at the end of this year, and what is networking going to look like. And from there, you know, I'm an empty nester, so I can travel if it means going to teach other groups or people to do networking workshops. I do a disc personality things. It may be just more either online, or it may be in person. I'm hoping it's in person. I like that. I get better juju from it, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and so when I started this series, we weren't really in COVID right now. So maybe I need to adjust that question to, like, what's your 5-month plan at this point?
Yeah, really. I mean, at the end of 2021, will we be back in person? Will we know when we're going to be back in person, or will groups be getting back in person? That's what I'm waiting to see, you know.
Exactly. But what I love, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and there's no crystal ball.
Yeah. And what I love is that people are really taking this opportunity to just say, well, we might not go back to our normal, right? So what's our new version of normal? And let's adapt to that, and let's see what that looks like, because we can still make it in this. I mean, I have heard from so many people that have said, this is my record breaking year. I've made more sales. I've connected with more people. I've grown my business more during this pandemic. So I love, and it also teaches people resiliency, right? That the world shifts and you can shift with it. So I love that. And I love your answer. Like, we're just going to see where this is going to go. And then I'm going to acclimate to whatever that is. So what's something, looking back, because I think people always typically answer the question of what's something, you wish you hadn't done, or what's something that you wish you had done differently. But I like to ask people both, like, what is something that you're super grateful that you did, or something you would have liked to have done differently?
Well, I really like that question. And in thinking about that, I would say the first thing that comes to mind is, don't play small. I played small for a long time. And what I realize now, by playing small, it not only, hurts my own growth as a person and as an entrepreneur, but it doesn't allow me to get in front of more people to be able to help more people. And I hadn't thought about that. And I think I heard about it on I don't know, maybe it was something I read or something. And I was like, wow, it means it hits both ways. So be clear on what you have to offer. Don't be afraid to take risks, and don't place so small. You'll get in front of different audiences. You and I saw each other at Danielle Louise Ross's Intuitive Speaking. And a lot of those people were looking to be on the TEDx stage. I mean, they were really willing to take that risk to go big. And I was so impressed by that, because that's exactly what we all need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that, it's interesting. And I came across the same thing. And I think that we, first of all, as entrepreneurs, don't really ever truly, I think it's an ongoing effort to actually see our value, right? Mm-hmm. So, but the little mantra that I came up with, every time I get fearful of looking at that little red light, which means that I'm on and I'm live, I think, if I hide, I can't.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I love that you brought that idea up, that the people need leaders. People need people to be out there. And it's so funny, the more Zoom calls I'm on and the more, conferences I'm in, I hear people, it's the same thread, that I have a fear of making a fool out of myself. And it's funny because, and this is not coming from egotistical people, but you need to take your ego out of it, right? What your people are, it might be a very high priority on your list, but for other people, you're dead last on their priority list. Meaning, if you make a mistake on Facebook, right, they're so concerned with their own issues that they're not gonna admonish you or trip you up for that. They're gonna say, just like you did, That's so brave to get out there and do those big, bold things that I am having a hard time. Maybe, it's a little challenge with doing. So I think there needs to be more people and more attitudes like that. So I love that answer, Stephanie.
Well, we were at that conference for a reason, to play bigger.
Exactly. And what's so funny is that I was talking to somebody in one of my networking groups years ago, and she said, you always get this like sunshiny attitude and, a fabulous energy. And I said, well, if I'm going to show up, I need to show up. Like, I don't want to just show up to a meeting and just sit in the corner. Why am I there? What am I doing there? And I'm not bringing any value to anybody else in the room. So if you're going to show up, right?
Right. Play big or go home. Right.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Love that. So what have you been feeding your brain, like podcasts or books or audio or stuff that's just going in there? And
being we're here in Palm Springs, it's all been audio because we can't check out books. So that's been fun. Well, Brene Brown is always good in books or podcasts. You can't go wrong, for that. A book that's really good that I want to reread when I get home is Atomic Habits by James Clear. For systems, because you had talked about systems are critical to your business no matter what. I learned that in high tech well, and I love systems. The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber is a book I always tell my clients to read. That's the first book out of the Are you working in your business or on your business when you're talking about systems? You can get it on audio, on any form of media, you can get it. I always do that. And then the fun stuff is like Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History. That's one of my fun go-tos. And just going back and re-listening to things, because you only retain, I think, 10% of what you hear. So it's important to go back, and you may be in a different place from when you read it the first time. So go back and reread it and see what you glean from it.
Yeah, I love that. A couple points there that I'd like to highlight. That first of all, I have Atomic Habits and I have E-Myth Revisited, both sitting on my bookshelf over there, and I haven't cracked the cover on either one of them. So that's a really good reminder. I need to do that. And then I love the idea, when you said retention, that we only retain about 10%. And I think one of not the downsides, but one of the side effects perhaps of doing everything virtually now is that we tend to have 18 browser windows open and we're listening to that podcast in the background, which is good, but if you're doing laundry, right? If you're doing something that doesn't require that mental focus. But I highly encourage people that if you're listening to a podcast, shut off all the browser windows, like shut your phone off, and actually, just like you would with a book, full attention to that podcast, right? Because your brain won't retain it. And you're also doing a disservice to yourself. There's I think I can't remember the name of the book, but it talked about Japanese businessmen and how they spend an hour in their day, every day, thinking. That's such a fabulous concept, because for me, I know that in my life, a lot of the aha moments have come in the quiet, right? When my son is laying down for a nap, when he was younger, or when I was falling asleep at night, when it was quiet, that's when all my aha moments would happen, right? So I love the idea of just, taking that podcast into that book or whatever it is and just doing that just in the quiet. So
yeah, you as you mentioned, it's giving yourself a gift, and it's being of better service. Don't make dinner during it. I will listen to Malcolm Gladwell when I'm driving, but I like to sometimes take notes on other stuff. I'm a big note taker, so I like to give myself that gift of that time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And things like being in the car listening to podcasts is fine. My point was just not to, like, don't sit and try to write content for a webinar that you're going to do and try to listen to somebody's podcast at the same time, right?
Can't do it. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. Simplify to amplify. What I would say.
Oh, very well said.
Yeah, that's a good one. So how do people work with you? Like, do you have a little freebie that you'd like to share with our audience, or a gift that you'd like to share with people?
Yes, if they would like some help with their networking, I offer a 30-minute networking strategy session. It's by phone. How novel, because that's one of the things I love, to work with people by phone, not make them feel. If they want to do Zoom, fine, but you don't have to. It's recorded. I also am giving away my 17 tips for virtual networking tips, as well as a networking strategy plan done for you. And all of that is usually worth, I don't know, $200 probably with all that, but I'm offering it for your listeners for $37 today. So they can
Fantastic.
go, I would suggest, I want to do it the old fashioned way of just sending me an email at hello@stephanieconnects.com. That's hello@stephanieconnects, plural.com. Send me an email and we can mention that you heard me on your podcast and we'll get you set up. With technology, I don't want to risk anything.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm going to put down here, hello@Stephanie Connect, so people can just click on the link and make it easy peasy. I love that. And I love it. And I have to back up though, Stephanie, and correct you, because I think that value is way greater than $200. That's a lot of stuff. That's amazing.
Well,
Thank
I want to
you.
help people feel successful with their networking, whether it's online or in person. And I do hope we get back in person sometime soon, but I do feel it at the fall would be the earliest, probably,
Yeah.
and then they can also go to my website at stephanieconnects.com to look over the services that I offer, as well as workshops, those kind of things. And my newsletter is on there too.
Okay. So people can subscribe to your newsletter at Stephanie Connects.
Yeah, at stephanieconnect.com. And it's only monthly, no spam. And it's always full of networking tips and a networking calendar of events coming up that people can listen to now online.
Fantastic. All right, I have to put the S in there, stephanieconnects.com.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we close out today?
Well, I encourage people to do one-on-ones. This is the best time to do them. And people are craving attention and we're feeling isolated. So now is one of the best times than ever to reach out, even if it's a quick phone call. I always said, pick up the phone and call someone just to check in. It doesn't have to be a long one, but touch base. People are missing the human interaction. It's a great time to reconnect. And it will help people feel much, much better. And it can be from wherever they are. It doesn't have to be local.
Exactly. I love that tip. And I love that, just jumping on the phone with somebody and not even having an agenda attached to that, like not thinking I'm going to have to close this sale, not thinking, just,
Nope.
Look to serve first, right?
Yes. Yes. It's not about sales. It's about building relationships and building those connections. And
Yes.
even a 5-minute call to say, hey, how are you doing? What have you been working on? You'll be amazed at the reactions that you get. It will be very positive, I'm sure.
I love it. I love it. And speaking of positive, you are such a positive joy of light in our lives. And I'm so blessed that I met you all those years ago. And I so appreciate you being on Bold Breakthroughs today. So I really appreciate you, Miss Stephanie.
Well, the feeling is mutual, Heather. I appreciate, thank you for having me. And it's always great to see you, and hopefully we'll be able to see each other in person in the not too distant future.
Yeah, it's coming. They're working on it. It's coming. It's good. We've learned some new skill sets, I think.
I definitely think, I know I have, especially on the technology front, thanks to COVID.
Exactly. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Miss Stephanie. And for the rest of you guys, tune in next week, again, Tuesdays at noon, for another episode of Bold Breakthroughs.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye. Take care. Enjoy the weather, Miss Stephanie. I know you will. It's 74. Is that what you said it was today?
Yeah, something like that today.
Nice. You could almost get your water wings on and go hang out by the pool if you want to.
I go play tennis. That's what I do.
Awesome. Well, go off and conquer. We will see you soon. Bye.
Okay, bye.